The reading for Candide this week is chapters 23 through 28. I find myself reading this very recursively, kind of going back, going forward, trying to revisit things. Like I think I talked about, like, when did Candide become a captain? That was confusing. Or what exactly happened when the old woman left? Or um, somebody had asked me a question about the old woman and the fact that she was like the daughter of a pope, and that popes were celibate, and that couldn't be. But, with Voltaire, so much of this again is just speaking to hypocrisy and kind of poking fun at things like that. Um, when I was going back to that, it made me kind of laugh because of how Cunigande left Candide in favor of this guy with the amazing name, the governor, Don Fernando de Ibarra y Figueroa y Masacarenes y Lampordos y Souza, just this tremendously long name that's just got all of these different titles and just kind of silly. And it caught me that, here, this is his true love, whom he remains dedicated to throughout the duration of the novel, always trying to get back together with her. Yet when he was with her, she had an opportunity to marry and have a comfortable life. And she went to great lengths in considering that for 1/4 of an hour, 15 minutes, she gave him to consider, do I want to go with Candide or do I want to be wealthy and comfortable? So within the reading, we got 16 up to 22, and we see that Candide is in El Dorado, and he has to go on this river, and it goes underneath into this crevice and into a new land that's only accessible through this wild, crazy river. Perhaps, reminiscent of Sinbad's journey, I guess, where it's in a utopia of El Dorado. And it's silly, but it is still very poignant that Voltaire is looking and suggesting perhaps that there is the possibility for a utopia, that a system of government or a community that is not polluted by religion, that doesn't have any artifices between the population and God, right? There's no structure, no Catholic Church, nobody preaching, nobody telling them. Everybody is a priest that is continuously able to reach up and talk to God. And not even in prayer, but just in thanks because they have everything. It's just a society built around gratitude. And this nice, beautiful utopia that kind of stems from it when you don't, in fact, have this institutions that create wealth and separation. And when Cacambo and Candide go to dinner and they actually have the opportunity to pay, and they find gold on the road or diamonds on the road, and they try to give them those, they see them as worthless stones, kind of showing the arbitrariness of capitalism. Like, who's to say that gold should be worth anything or diamonds should be worth anything or carry any type of monetary value? And even the paper currencies that we have are just an arbitrary symbol of money or wealth. And I say arbitrary until you don't have any, then it's obviously not as arbitrary. So it is interesting that they do have this opportunity to live in this utopia, yet they realize, hey, we're just going to be like everybody else here. And if we were to able to take some of their pebbles and their mud and their stones, which are tremendously valuable outside of this kingdom, that they would be able to live luxuriously, which they already were. And you saw these fantastic feasts with all these different birds and all of this different meats, and everybody is extremely happy and grateful. And yet all they could think of is, again, going back to that greed of thinking, but if we were to take this fortune and move it out, then, we would be wealthy, wealthier than everybody. And that greed, of course, almost killed them when they're sinking in the mud, losing sheep, almost drowning, and having to like give up so much of their fortune just in order to live. And of course, fortune through Voltaire is just squandered and something to be targeted and stolen. So we're moving into the last portion of this novel. And as you start to read this, I'm hoping that you're taking notes and you're isolating specific scenes or instances that are impactful to you. And keep these notes so that when we have to write about Candide, when we have to actually start to do the essay that we're going to be doing in regards to how this is still relevant today, what lessons can we take from it, what are still applicable, or what in the contemporary sense still echoes some of these same sentiments or ideas that Voltaire was protesting against with his satire. And it's one thing to go, oh, it was at one point in time when they were leaving El Dorado with what was worthless stones that was gold and diamonds and were going to be tremendously profitable when they got to a society that valued that. How to, you're going to go, where was that again? And you just want to be able to isolate and find that once we get back to it so you can cite it. All right. So that's what we have, chapters 23 to 28. We are rounding third base, heading home on this novel, and it's time to start considering it in the scope of all the critical lenses that we've acquired so far, and just in the scope of how we read novels. All right. Thanks.